LEGO will never make official Dunk and Egg minifigs, so I'm going to show you how to make your own. We're going to be making nearly every character from season 1 of the show, so let's just get started first with our main heroes. For Dunk, we're going to grab this set of armored legs with a cloth tabard. It's pretty close to what we see him wearing in the show, and I think it's going to work nice for our LEGO version. Next, we'll add a dark brown belt from Pelimoto, which will help give Dunk a little bit of extra height over the other figures. And then, for the most important piece, we need one of these Viking torsos that we're going to then flip around and remove the arms from. Then we can just add some silver arms from the new Horse Knight minifigure, and it's ready to go on the legs. This combination looks pretty close to the armor we see him wear in the show and the graphic novel without needing any custom prints. It's of course not perfect, but I think it's just about as good as you can get for a purist version of Dunk. Moving on to his head now, you could use whichever you'd like, but I think this unconfident looking face print from a young Obi-Wan fig is perfect for Duncan. Then for his hair, I've given him this dark tan mullet from the old Luke Skywalker fig. This makes him look super accurate to the graphic novel, but if you wanted to have a shorter haircut to match his look in the show, I would recommend this piece. Finally, we've got to give him Sir Arlen's sword and this custom printed wooden shield by Cult Bricks. I think he turned out looking great and fairly accurate to both versions of the show and the novellas. Moving on to his Squire Egg, I've grabbed a pair of dark tan short legs, the back print from a medieval peasant, a hobbit cape, and what might be a controversial head choice. I finished our LEGO egg off with a Hermione Granger head. Now look, I have like 2 child face prints in my whole collection, and I'll be honest, the other one is downright horrifying, so trust me, this weird choice was the right one to pick between the two. Now with our main 2 characters done, let's build out some of my favorite supporting characters from the show. Up first is my new favorite Westerosi conspiracy theorist, Raymond Fossaway. So let's make him and his wormy cousin in LEGO. For his legs, I pantsed an Uruk-hai and then removed his belt so that the printing is just a little bit more simpler looking. Next, we can flip the torso around from Bronze Tiger and add on some dark red arms to match the Fossaway heraldry. Finally, for his head, I decided on this one from a Pippin figure. The expression feels very Raymond to me, and frankly, it just works. Last but not least, I've given him a shaggy looking hairpiece, which I think looks perfect for him. I love how this figure turned out, and at least in my opinion, he looks a lot like the actor from Raymond in the show. The face print just works so well for him. Anyhow, now it's time to build his rotten cousin, Sir Stefan Fossaway. For him, I pantsed yet another Uruk-hai, but this time I left the belt intact. Since I'm basing the Fossaways on their appearance in episode 1 of the show, I wanted some more leather-looking armor. And honestly, there just really isn't a good option for Stefan, since he's rocking that sweet apple-embroidered vest. So instead, I decided to flip around an Uruk-hai torso and give him some more dark red arms to match the heraldry. I think this works pretty well, all things considered. Lastly, we'll give him a mean-looking Obi-Wan head and some short curly hair. With both branches of the Fossaway house finished, let's move over to the Stormlands to make Lionel Baratheon. Again, similar to Raymond, the show's adaptation of Lionel is such a treat, and even though he's much older than I believe he's meant to be in the book, Daniel Ings is just way too charismatic for me to really care. So for his figure, I thought it'd be fun to base him off of his armored look that we saw in episode 4 of the show. To do this, I've started us off with a torso and legs from the Tournament Night collectible minifigure, which matches the Baratheon colors perfectly. To this, we can add on these beautifully printed arms from the Dragonborn Paladin, and then cover it all up with a gold and silver breastplate. This breastplate looks pretty close, at least color-wise, to what we see in the show, and I just love how it blends in with the rest of the minifig parts that we used under it. Finally, we've got his head and hair. I actually came up with 2 different versions, depending on which you prefer. First is a younger looking face that I think works wonderful for any version of Lionel, whether it be show or novella based. The other one uses a slightly older looking print with some gray in the beard and the eyebrows. In my opinion, the first option's a lot better, and it even has an expression that I think is pretty close to the actor in the show. The second, older one just looks a little bit too old for both the book and show versions of this character. Either way, I love how this figure turned out, and I'd be interested to know which head you guys prefer in the comments for him. Moving on, we're now going to make Tanzel Tootal. For her, I thought it made a lot of sense for us to use this old skirt piece. It'll give the final figure some extra height, and it also just looks accurate to how we've seen her dressed while walking around the tournament. And then for her torso, I used the back print from an Obi-Wan figure, and then added some white arms with olive skin hands. Finally, for her head and hair, I took the face from a Catwoman figure, and this hairpiece which looks just about as accurate as we can get to her look in the show. And honestly, if you were going for a version based on the graphic novels, you could use just like a straight black hairpiece and it would look perfect. I think this figure turned out looking pretty good, but I'm not totally happy with the expression on her face. It just doesn't quite match the character, to be honest. I don't know. Anyway, now before we get into some more important characters like Arian and Baylor, let's make some of the side characters. And who's better to start that than with the two Humphreys? We haven't seen much of them in the show so far, but they're two of the knights that will be riding with Dunk in his Trial of Seven. Now that I think about it, I think we actually saw one tilt of their joust in the tournament, but that's besides the point. For Sir Humphrey Beesbury, I started him with a base of torso and legs from a nearly headless Nika minifigure, and the arms, you guessed it, are from the Dragonborn Paladin. This combo looks pretty slick, and while not super accurate to the show, I still like how it looks. Lastly, we'll give him a bright yellow cloak and a gold-printed helmet from Cult Bricks. Then for Sir Humphrey Harding, I was able to really show off his house's sigil by making use of these Harley Quinn legs. The red diamonds work pretty nice for him, and we're going to continue that idea onto his torso. This is a torso from the Vampire Knight collectible minifigure. It's got all these gold diamonds all over it, which is close enough to what we see on his armor in the show. Obviously, these aren't red and white like in the show, but I'm working with what I've got available to me here. Then to finish off this fig, I gave him a tattered red cloak from his accident against Arian, and another gold-printed helmet from Cult Bricks. These two are not very accurate to either their show or book appearances, but I still wanted to try and make them since they're just such a fun duo. Anyhow, next up we'll make some members of House Ashford. First is the Steward Plumber, who we most recently saw trying to get Dunk to match fix. I based his figure completely off of the show since he has a very memorable presence and look in it compared to the book. To do this, I grabbed some black Star Wars robes from Darth Maul and Kylo Ren. These match nicely with his outfit in the show, and I also gave him some dark gray arms just to add in a bit of contrast to the figure that I thought was missing. For his head, I took this face from old Bilbo Baggins and the hair from Bruno. Finally, I gave him a ledger and quill for the tournament, since he's the master of games after all, and we've been seeing him carry around books in nearly every one of his scenes. This figure came out looking way better than he realistically should have, given his lack of importance in the overall show, but who cares, I think he looks great. Next, we're going to make none other than the birthday girl herself, Lady Gwyn Ashford. We see her a little bit here and there in the show, and again, I think she is a great change from the book. The scene of her messing with Dunk in episode 2 was just so fun. So for her, I grabbed these dual molded short legs that have a bit of olive green and dark green on them. Then for her torso, I used this older one from a Lord of the Rings elf. The printing on it is kind of reminiscent of the details we see on her dress in the show. It's not quite the right color, but close enough. Next, I've taken the head from a Rey Skywalker figure, and then the hair from a young Padme fig. Moving on, we've got 3 more side character figs left before we get on to the Targaryen royal family. First of those is Steely Pate, the armorer who helps Dunk out in the show. This fig is pretty easy to make. All you need is the blacksmith figure from an old LEGO Castle set, and then swap out the arms for some pale skin ones. Next, I've given him this forked dark brown beard from a dwarf figure, and you could really use any face print you like. I went with this one from Gar Saxon. This is a simple fig, but in my view, he is instantly recognizable. Now, since I'm apparently one of the only Bracken defenders on the internet, I wanted to make the Brood of Bracken himself, Sir Otho. For his body and legs, I've grabbed this Grief Karga figure and removed the arms to replace them with some ones from Strahd von Zarevich. It helps give Otho some of those furs that we see him wearing in the show, which, speaking of, seems like really hot to be wearing in the Reach. I don't know, it just felt off to me. It was like a lot of layers to be wearing in a place called the Ashford Meadow. Anyways, we're going to cover up that torso with this custom fur cape in the same colors as House Bracken. Then finally, we're going to use this fantastic face print that just perfectly matches Otho in my mind, and this long, messy hairpiece. Again, I wasn't a huge fan of this look in the show, but after making the figure, he's starting to grow on me a bit. Our last side character of the video is going to be the Bum of Blackhaven, Sir Manfred Dondarrion. With this figure, I wanted to go with a mix of the graphic novel appearance and his show appearance. For his legs, I took these Anakin robed ones and then added the Snake Knight torso on top from LEGO Castle. The purple and silver details here evoke the Dondarrion house sigil pretty well in my opinion. And I've also swapped out the regular black arms from the figure for some dark brown ones since it better matches the legs that I used. Then for his head and hair, I based it completely off his look in the TV show. We've got the head from a Boromir figure and the hair from an Obi-Wan fig. I mean, this goateed face print just works great for him, and the alternate expression has this slightly smug confidence to it that suits the character well. We have finally made it to the Targaryens of the series, starting first with the Prince of Dragonstone Baelor Breakspear and his son Valar. I'm basing Baelor completely off of his show appearance, as I think they nailed the casting for him. The body and legs that we've got for him are these ones from the Mouth of Sauron that I've added a red cloak to. Then for the head, I took this one from Poe Dameron and the hair from Finn. The face works quite well in my opinion for the actor, and it's even got this concerned looking alternate expression that could be useful for something later down the road, who knows. Now for his son Valar, I've decided to base his look completely off of the book design because, well, I've seen too many amazing pieces of fan art of him with longer hair. But I will be trying to emulate the armor that we see him wearing in the show, and later his dad, as it just looks pretty sick. To start this figure, I've taken a custom set of plate armored legs from K-Town Bricks, and then added on this orc armor from Lord of the Rings to it. This combination looks surprisingly similar to his kit in the show, especially with a little bit of red underneath his armor, which I've also supplemented with some dark red arms just to give more Targaryen vibes to the figure. It's not exactly accurate to the show, but I like how it looks. Speaking of, I also placed this dark red cape on him to the side, which works nicely as some kind of regal half cape. Then for the most important part of this character, his head and hair. For the head, I went with this Han Solo one because of the defined cheekbones and the brown eyebrows. And then, for his hair, I used this printed long brown hairpiece from an old Harry Potter fig. The blonde streaks across her hair were literally made for Valar, so I'm sure you can see why I had to use this piece. It's genuinely the perfect piece for this character, and I couldn't use anything else. I love how Valar turned out looking, and I hope we get to see some more of him in the show because I don't even think he's had a line yet. Next is Maekar and his two eldest sons. I think Maekar was cast to absolute perfection in the show. From the voice to the look, he is straight up Maekar. So to do him justice, I'm going to base this fig off of him and his armor. For the legs, I came up with this pretty sweet combination that I doubt you've seen before. I grabbed the belt from a lava monster and the legs from a Mandalorian. The belt's got this fantastic, thorn-like design on it, and the legs give us some more dark metallic and red accents, all very Targaryen-looking stuff, which brings me to the torso. The only choice here is the Red Dragon Knight armor that came from an old castle theme. It looks amazing for him, and it matches very closely to what we see him wearing in the show. He's also got these spiky, dragon-like bits on his shoulders, so to show this on the figure, I grabbed a pair of shoulder armor in the exact same color as the rest of his armor. Now for the head and hair, you could really grab whatever face print that's got white eyebrows. I went with this one from Gloin and Lord of the Rings, but use whatever you have. The important thing here is the white beard and hairpiece, which are both very common. Ideally, this middle part hairpiece would work even better, but it hasn't come out in white as of yet. Finally, I've given him a red dragon shield and his infamous mace. Maekar is by far my favorite Targaryen LEGO figure that I've ever made. I think he turned out looking absolutely beautiful in my eyes. Next, we'll make his son Daeron, who stole the show for me in episode 4. His performance is haunting, regal, beautiful, and depressing. So for him, I grabbed a set of dark red, gold, and black legs from a pirate collectible minifigure. It's got this subtle printing that works well for a Targaryen prince, and we're going to combine that with a torso from Jafar. Again, it's got a little bit of black and red that looks similar to what we see him wearing in the show and the graphic novel. I could have thrown in a hood piece here, but I decided not to. I also struggled for a bit to find the right head for him. I wanted to show his mushy, overstimulated mind in a way that's kind of rare to find in a LEGO minifigure. Eventually, I landed on this one from Professor Quirrell, which I think works great, and it's made even better by this blonde hairpiece that slightly covers the face, as we saw him in episode 1 of the show. I actually got this part as a last-minute pick-a-brick order, but man does it make the fig look so much better to me. Then, last but not least, we'll make Aerion Brightflame. Now, a quick heads up, I'm going to be basing this figure completely off of his graphic novel appearance. I just much prefer how he looks there, and that's no shade to the actor Finn Bennett, whose performance I've been loving in the show. You really just can't beat the deranged, eccentric look from Aerion in the graphic novel, so with that out of the way, we can get started. For his legs, you can grab whatever pair of black ones you want because it's not going to matter because we're covering them up with a red skirt piece from a pirate collectible minifigure. I saw this technique the other day and I had to give it a try for myself, and I think it's going to work great for Aerion. For his body, I've grabbed the Lion Queen torso and flipped it around. Now we can use the back print and then add on some orange arms to better suit his bright flame sigil. Then we're going to add a yellow cape, which I'm trying to emulate his dragon sigil here with red, yellow, and orange since those are meant to be his colors. Finally, for his head and hair, I grabbed an arrogant yet beautiful looking face that suits Aerion perfectly, and this very special hairpiece. This is a hairpiece from Spider-Gwen that I spent 3.5 hours removing the pink from with an eraser. I wish I was joking here, it took an obscene amount of time, and I'm likely never gonna try erasing a LEGO print again. Was it worth it? I'll let you be the judge of that. Besides that though, I think this figure turned out incredible, and he stands out well from the rest of his family, as he should. This was my favorite video to make in a long time. It was so much fun trying to emulate all the characters from the show, and I would love to do more of these for future seasons of the show. Or if there's another era of A Song of Ice and Fire that you'd like to see me cover in LEGO, please let me know in the comments. I think the first Blackfire Rebellion would be a ton of fun, and it'd also be a good excuse for me to spread some more Bracken propaganda. If you did enjoy this video, why not subscribe? I make videos about medieval LEGO, and on occasions like today, A Song of Ice and Fire. A big thank you goes out to my channel members Gyojo, Faisal, Rio Bricks, Walktiermeister, Ryzen Covers, Clunk, Peter, RPG Gameslayer, Daventria Bricks, Griffinclaw, and all of my other members for supporting the channel. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Oh, and by the way, sorry to all the Robin Reisling stands, I don't have an eye patch minifigure face, so I couldn't really make him. Sorry, bye bye.